Imagine running a $6 billion business, being the king of entertainment, and then losing everything because you laughed at the wrong guy. Sounds impossible, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to Blockbuster, once the undisputed ruler of movie nights with 9,000 stores across the world. Then, one day they got an offer, a golden ticket that could have saved them for just $50 million. But instead of saying yes, they laughed. They mocked a tiny startup called Netflix, and that one decision cost them their entire empire. Today, Netflix is worth over $250 billion, and Blockbuster? It has one lonely store left. So, how did Blockbuster go from owning Friday nights to becoming a punchline? Stick with me because this one's wild. Blockbuster wasn't just big, it was unstoppable. And if you were born before the 2000s, you probably remember what it felt like walking into a Blockbuster on a Friday night. Let's rewind to 1985, when a guy named David Cook had a crazy idea. See, back then, renting a movie was a pain. Small stores, limited selection, handwritten rental logs. Cook thought, what if we do this, but better? So, he launched the first Blockbuster in Dallas, Texas, stocked it with 8,000 plus movies, and, here's the game changer, used computers to track rentals. This wasn't just a store, it was a system. Then comes Wayne Huizenga, a billionaire who sees the potential.
Well, let's talk about Blockbuster.
So, walked into Blockbuster, wow, this is something else, big story, and wow, this is completely different. And so we poured through a bunch of financials. They're all projections because they only had one store, so I looked at all the projections they had, and we determined that if those numbers were only half right, it was a heck of a business. We bought about 65% of the company. Over the next 6 years, we averaged opening a new Blockbuster store every 16 hours.
He buys Blockbuster for $18 million and says, let's go big. Within a decade, boom, 9,000 stores worldwide, generating a staggering $6 billion a year. But the secret sauce? Late fees. Those annoying little charges pulled in $800 million a year. That was 16% of Blockbuster's revenue. People hated it, but they kept coming back because, well, where else would they go? Blockbuster was on top of the world, but the cracks were starting to show. And the thing that made them rich? It's the same thing that made customers hate them. By the early 2000s, something was shifting. The internet was getting faster, DVDs were easier to ship, and people were tired of late fees. And right around this time, a tiny company called Netflix was gaining traction. Netflix wasn't an immediate threat. It was a mail-order DVD rental business, nothing fancy, but what they had was vision. They knew people hated driving to the store. They knew people hated late fees. So in 1999, Netflix introduced a simple, genius idea. Pay one flat fee, get unlimited DVD rentals, no late fees. And here's where it gets really interesting. This is the moment where Blockbuster could have saved itself, but instead, they laughed in Netflix's face. In the year 2000, Netflix was still struggling. They only had 300,000 subscribers, and they were bleeding money. Reed Hastings, Netflix's CEO, knew they needed help, so he flew to Dallas to meet Blockbuster's executives. He sat across from Blockbuster's CEO, John Antioco, and made the offer of a lifetime. Buy Netflix for $50 million and we'll run your online business. Blockbuster's response? Laughter. They thought Netflix was a joke. Who would want DVDs mailed to them when they could just go to the store? So they sent Hastings packing and kept raking in late fees. That one decision? Yeah, it aged really badly. Netflix didn't just survive, it reinvented entertainment. And Blockbuster? They finally fought back. But by then, it was too late. By 2004, Netflix had grown to 2 million subscribers. Meanwhile, Blockbuster was still making money, but they were bleeding customers. So, Blockbuster finally tried to fight back. They launched Blockbuster Online, their own DVD by mail service, and for a second, it looked like they might actually win. But here's the thing. Blockbuster was too focused on its stores. Their entire business was built around getting people inside their locations, not sitting at home streaming movies. So, When Netflix made its next move, it was game over. In 2007, Netflix ditched DVDs and launched streaming. No shipping, no returns, just instant movies. They bet everything on digital, and it worked. By 2010, Netflix had 20 million subscribers, while Blockbuster was $1 billion in debt. Guess who won that war? Remember that $50 million Netflix deal? It's now worth $250 billion. And Blockbuster? Well, in 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. In 2013, Dish Network bought what was left, shut down almost all of their stores, and today, there's only one Blockbuster left, in Bend, Oregon. Meanwhile, Netflix is a streaming giant, producing hit shows like Stranger Things, The Witcher, and Squid Game. They own the future. And the worst part? Blockbuster actually had the technology to do this first, but they were too stuck in their ways. They thought the future was risky, when really, the biggest risk was standing still. So what's the lesson here? Adapt or die. Blockbuster had every chance to win, but they laughed at the future. What do you think? Was this the dumbest business decision ever, or do you know one that's even worse? Let's talk in the comments. And if you love crazy business stories like this, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more insane business breakdowns coming soon.